भक्ति भाव से बहती संस्कारों की धारा, भारत माँ की सेवा में गीता परिवार हमारा, गीता परिवार हमारा। संस्कृति का वैभव जग में सबसे न्यारा,
जय भारत माँ, जय गीता माँ, जय भारत माँ, जय गीता माँ।
भारतीय संस्कृति का वैभव जग में सबसे न्यारा, ज्ञान और विज्ञान यहीं से सबने पाया सारा, सबने पाया सारा। कुछ भूलों से हारा फिर से जीते देश हमारा, गीता परिवार हमारा, गीता परिवार हमारा।
जय भारत माँ, जय गीता माँ, जय भारत माँ, जय गीता माँ।
शील सेवा व्रतधारी युवा जगे पुरुषार्थी,
जय भारत माँ, जय गीता माँ, जय भारत माँ, जय गीता माँ।
त्यागशील सेवा व्रतधारी युवा जगे पुरुषार्थी, वैज्ञानिकता विनय सभ्यता स्वभाव हो निस्वार्थी, स्वभाव हो निस्वार्थी। देशभक्ति में तेजस्वी हो फिर समाज यह सारा, गीता परिवार हमारा, गीता परिवार हमारा।
जय भारत माँ, जय गीता माँ, जय भारत माँ, जय गीता माँ।
शिवाजी बुद्ध गगन के तारे,
जय भारत माँ, जय गीता माँ, जय भारत माँ, जय गीता माँ।
महावीर गोविंद शिवाजी बुद्ध गगन के तारे, परंपरा की पुण्य चेतना उर में हम सब धारे, उर में हम सब धारे। बाल हृदय में उसे जगाकर जगे देश यह सारा, गीता परिवार हमारा, गीता परिवार हमारा।
जय भारत माँ, जय गीता माँ, जय भारत माँ, जय गीता माँ।
राष्ट्र समर्थ बनाओ, बंधु भाव समता ममता से सबको गले लगाओ, सबको गले लगाओ। चलो विवेकानंद मार्ग पर, शुभ संदेश हमारा, गीता परिवार हमारा, गीता परिवार हमारा। ईश्वर भक्ति भाव से बहती संस्कारों की धारा, भारत माँ की सेवा में गीता परिवार हमारा, 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 गीता परिवार हमारा।
श्री गुरु चरण सरोज रज, निज मनु मुकुरु सुधारी, बरनउ रघुबर विमल जसु, जो दायक फलचारी। बुद्धिहीन तनु जानिके, सुमिरौ पवन कुमार, बल बुद्धि विद्या देहु मोहि, हरहु कलेस विकार। जय हनुमान ज्ञान गुण सागर, जय कपी सतिहु लोक उजागर। रामदूत अतुलित बल धामा, अंजनी पुत्र पवन सुत नामा। महावीर विक्रम बजरंगी, कुमति निवार सुमति के संगी। कंचन बरन विराज सुबेसा, कानन कुंडल कुंचित केसा। हाथ वज्र और ध्वजा विराजे, कांधे मूज जनेऊ साजे। शंकर सुवन केसरी नंदन, तेज प्रताप महाजगवंदन। विद्यावान गुणी अति चातुर, राम काज करिबे को आतुर। प्रभु चरित्र सुनिबे को रसिया, राम लखन सीता मन बसिया। सूक्ष्म रूप धरि सियहि दिखावा, विकट रूप धरि लंक जरावा। भीम रूप धरि असुर संहारे, रामचंद्र के काज संवारे। लाय सजीवन लखन जियाए, श्री रघुबीर हरषि उर लाए। रघुपति कीन्ही बहुत बड़ाई, तुम मम प्रिय भरतहि सम भाई। सहस बदन तुम रोजस गावे, अस कहि श्रीपति कंठ लगावे। सनकादिक ब्रह्मादि मुनीसा, नारद सारद सहित अहिसा। जम कुबेर दिक्पाल जहाते, कवि कोविद कहि सकै कहाते। तुम उपकार सुग्रीवहि कीन्हा, राम मिलाय राजपद दीन्हा। तुम्हरो मंत्र विभीषण माना, लंकेश्वर भय सब जग जाना। जुग सहस्र जो जन पर भानु, लील्यो ताहि मधुर फल जानू। प्रभु मुद्रिका मेलि मुख माहि, जलधि लांघि गए अचरज नाही। दुर्गम काज जगत के जेते, सुगम अनुग्रह तुम्हरे तेते। राम दुआरे तुम रखवारे, होत न आज्ञा बिनु पैसारे। सब सुख लहै तुम्हारी सरना, तुम रक्षक काहू को डरना। आपन तेज सम्हारो आपे, तीनों लोक हांकते कांपे। भूत पिशाच निकट नहीं आवे, महावीर जब नाम सुनावे। नासै रोग हरै सब पीरा, जपत निरंतर हनुमत वीरा। संकट ते हनुमान छुड़ावे, मन क्रम वचन ध्यान जो लावे। सब पर राम तपस्वी राजा, तिनके काज सकल तुम साजा। और मनोरथ जो कोई लावे, सोई अमित जीवन फल पावे। चारों जुग परताप तुम्हारा, है प्रसिद्ध जगत उजियारा। साधु संत के तुम रखवारे, असुर निकंदन राम दुलारे। अष्ट सिद्धि नौ निधि के दाता, असवर दीन जानकी माता। राम रसायन तुम्हारे पासा, सदा रहो रघुपति के दासा। तुम्हारे भजन राम को पावे, जन्म जन्म के दुख बिसरावे। अंत काल रघुबर पुर जाई, जहाँ जन्म हरि भक्त कहाई। और देवता चित्तन धरई हनुमत से सर्व सुख करई। संकट कटे मिटे सब पीरा जो सुमिरे हनुमत बलबीरा। जय 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 हनुमान गोसाई कृपा करहु गुरुदेव की नाई। जो सत बार पाठ कर कोई छूट ही बंदी महासुख होई। जो यह पढ़े हनुमान चालीसा होय सिद्धि साखी गौरीसा। तुलसीदास सदा हरि चेरा की जय नाथ हृदय महडेरा। पवन तनय संकट हरन मंगल मूर्ति रूप। राम लखन सीता सहित हृदय बसहु सुरभूप। सियावर रामचंद्र की जय पवन सुत हनुमान की जय। उमापति महादेव की जय।
मधुरं वदनं मधुरं नयनं मधुरं हसितं मधुरं हृदयं मधुरं गमनं मधुरम्।
मधुराधिपतेरखिलं मधुरं मधुराधिपतेरखिलं मधुरम्।
वचनं मधुरं चरितं मधुरं वसनं मधुरं वलितं मधुरं चलितं मधुरं भ्रमितं मधुरम्।
मधुराधिपतेरखिलं मधुरं मधुराधिपतेरखिलं मधुरम्।
वेणुर्मधुरो रेणुर्मधुराः पाणिर्मधुराः पादौ मधुरौ नृत्यं मधुरं सख्यं मधुरम्।
मधुराधिपतेरखिलं मधुरं मधुराधिपतेरखिलं मधुरम्।
गीतं मधुरं पीतं मधुरं भुक्तं मधुरं सुप्तं मधुरं रूपं मधुरं तिलकं मधुरम्।
मधुराधिपतेरखिलं मधुरं मधुराधिपतेरखिलं मधुरम्।
हरणं मधुरं तरणं मधुरं हरणं मधुरं स्मरणं मधुरं वमितं मधुरं शमितं मधुरम्।
मधुराधिपतेरखिलं मधुरं मधुराधिपतेरखिलं मधुरम्।
कुञ्जा मधुरा माला मधुरा यमुना मधुरा वीथी मधुरा सलिलं मधुरं कमलं मधुरम्।
मधुराधिपतेरखिलं मधुरं मधुराधिपतेरखिलं मधुरम्।
लीला मधुरा युक्तं मधुरं मुक्तं मधुरं दृष्टं मधुरं शिष्टं मधुरम्
मधुराधिपतेरखिलं मधुरं मधुराधिपतेरखिलं मधुरम्
गोपा मधुरा गावो मधुरा यष्टिर्मधुरा सृष्टिर्मधुरा दलितं मधुरं फलितं मधुरम्
मधुराधिपतेरखिलं मधुरं मधुराधिपतेरखिलं मधुरं मधुराधिपतेरखिलं मधुरं मधुराधिपतेरखिलं मधुरम्
योगेशम् सच्चिदानन्दम् वासुदेवम् व्रजप्रि
Jai Shri Krishna. On behalf of Geeta Parivar, I, Shravani Rajesh Naik, welcome all the enthusiastic Geeta devotees to the today's interpretation session of Arjuna Vishada Yoga's second half, that is, middle half. This chapter tells us about the grief Arjuna faced while the Mahabharata war. So, now before starting, we'll move towards making our environment more pleasant and more spiritual. For the same, I would like to invite Narendra Gadvi ji from Gandhidham. In Geeta Parivar, he serves as a TTG mentor and is with Geeta Parivar since July 2021. Narendra ji,
Jai Shri Krishna Devi.
you can start.
Yeah. Vasudeva Sutam Devam Kamsachanuramardanam Devaki Paramanandam Krishnam Vande Jagadguru Sri Krishnam Vande Jagadguru.
Thank you so much, Bhaiya, for such a beautiful prayer. Now let's enlighten the atmosphere, our atmosphere, by Deep Prajwalan, for which I welcome Maya Karad ji from Nasik. In Geeta Parivar, she serves as a co-trainer and is with Geeta Parivar since July 2021. Maya ji.
निषिद्धैरप्येभिर्लुलितमकरन्दो मधुकरैः करैरिन्दोरन्तश्छुरित इव सम्भिन्नमुकुलः विधत्तां सिद्धिन्नो नयनसुभगामस्य सदसः प्रकीर्णः पुष्पाणां हरिचरणयोरञ्जलिरयम् शरदिन्दुनिभां शुभ्रां शुभ्रवस्त्रैरलङ्कृतां कलहंसकृतावासां वरदां शारदां नुमः.
Thank Thank you so much, Didi, for such a beautiful Deepa Prajwalan. Now we'll move towards the moment for which we all are eagerly waiting. That is today's interpretation session. For the same, let's welcome our today's speaker, respected Vikas Vaidya Bhaiya. He is a senior trainer in Geeta Parivar and trains all the upcoming trainers from L1 to L4. And also Vikas ji, and also every day Vikas ji chants all the 18 adhyayas of Śrīmad-Bhagavadgītā. So now let's welcome Vikas Vaidya ji. Vikas ji.
जय श्री कृष्णा। पूज्य स्वामी जी के चरण कमलों में कोटि कोटि नमन। We are studying Adhyay first, Arjuna Vishad Yog. Arjuna's Vishad, sadness, distress will start in a few shlokas from now. Last time we covered shlok up to 10th, I think. So we'll start with shlok number 11. Ayaneshu tu sarveshu yatha bhagamavasthitaha bhishmamevabhirakshantu bhavantas sarva evahi. Ayaneshu. Ayaneshu means the strategic location. Ayaneshu. The military is always positioned at strategic locations so that it can attack the enemy in a good way. So Ayaneshu. Sarveshu. Everywhere. Yatha bhagama. Bhagama is differently. Yatha as differently arranged. Avasthita. Avasthita is established or situated. Abhirakshantu. Abhirakshantu is to give support or to protect. Bhavanta. Bhavanta is you, your good self. What we say in Hindi, aap. So that aap is Bhavanta. Sarva. All. So this shloka says, Sanjay is describing everything, that Duryodhana said, all of you. Now see, he is telling Guru Dronacharya, and see the language. All of you take your positions in the respective places to make sure that Bhishma Pitamaha is well protected and well supported from all sides. So he's almost instructing his own Guru Dronacharya, that all of you, including you, Guru Dronacharya, you take your positions in respective places and make sure that Pitamaha Bhishma is well protected, well supported in all situations. Now, instructing master soldiers and war wizards, like versatile in strategies and tactics of battle, exposes Duryodhana's arrogance. To instruct his own guru, it definitely shows his arrogance and maybe the nervousness also. He was nervous. Directing all of them to protect Bhishma at all costs, he is instructing. It makes even more clear the element of doubt in his mind about Bhishma. This is another way of looking at it, because Pitamaha Bhishma has had a soft corner for Pandavas. In fact, he tried several times to tell Duryodhana not to enter into war, because he knew that we are on the wrong side. But Duryodhana did not budge, and the war was to start. So he had this doubt that Pitamaha Bhishma, in the heart of heart, is like to support Pandavas. So he should be kept watch on. Maybe this is the reason. He said, you all of you be protective to Pitamaha Bhishma. Actually, Pitamaha Bhishma hardly needed anybody's protection to protect him, because no warrior could equal his fighting excellence of Pitamaha Bhishma. A doubting man who is doubting his own senior commanders. This doubting man is, of course, Duryodhana, he is doubting his own senior commanders like Pitamaha Bhishma. He can hardly be an ideal leader in the war. How can you doubt your own commanders? And if you look at it from non-political view, it may also mean that Duryodhana wanted to genuinely, honestly protect his senior-most warrior, Pitamaha Bhishma, in the war. Because if the senior-most commander of the army falls down in the attack from the enemy, then the whole army goes haywire. So to protect the senior-most commander is also a strategy which is followed in the war. And this is also probably the reason that Duryodhana is asking Guru Dronacharya to protect, support Pitama Bhishma from all sides. Now, having said that, we go to next shloka, slok number 12. Tasya sanjanayan harshang Guru Vruddha Pitamaha Simvanadav Vinadyau Chaish Shankhan Dadmau Pratapavan. Tasya means his Sanjanayan. Sanjanayan means nothing to do with Sanjaya. Sanjanayan means to increase, to elevate, to uplift. Harsha is cheerfulness. Guru Vruddha, the senior-most in the Kuru dynasty. Guru Vruddha, that means Pitama Bhishma. Simhanad, roaring sound like that of lion. Simhanad. Vinadya, vibrating. Uchchai, very high level, very loud. Shankha is conch shell. You sound the shankha, you blow the shankha. That shankha is conch shell. Dadmo is to blow. And Pratapavan is someone who is very impressive. Now Pitama Bhishma, he probably saw that Duryodhana is getting nervous. So to boost up his moral, to boost up his cheerfulness, what did Pitama Bhishma do? The Pitamaha, the mighty grandfather of all Kauravas and Pandavas, sensing Duryodhana's nervousness, and to boost Duryodhana's morale and to please him, he blew his conch very, very loudly. He blew his conch shell very, very loudly and making the sound like that roar of a lion. Simhanad, Vinadyachai. Now the sagging moral of a king, in this case Duryodhana, who is present on the battlefield, particularly when it has been sensed by his generals. When it has been sensed by his generals, like Pitama Bhishma sensed it, the sagging moral of the king, it can work like a hole in the bottom of a flag warship. If the warship has a hole at its bottom, what will happen? It will sink. So Pitama Bhishma, the veteran soldier of distinguished eminence, he captured this moment and he decided to boost up Duryodhana's moral and injected the booster dose by blowing his conch shell, filling the sky with its roaring sound. The whole atmosphere was filled with that huge loud sound of Pitama Bhishma's blowing the conch shell. Now blowing the conch shell is anyway very beneficial. I do it every day. Try this someday. When your mind is restless, which most of the time is, try blowing the conch shell. First of all, you will have to take a long deep breath. Fill up your chest with a lot of air. Because the sound will be produced only after the long forceful exhalation. The sound from the conch shell gets produced when you exhale. So you fill up your chest with a lot of air, a lot of oxygen, and then when you exhale forcefully through that conch shell, it makes that huge sound. And the sound that emerges from conch shell, it resonates in the forehead, here in the forehead. And the sound vibrations produced have a deep effect on your body, particularly your lungs and the nervous system. So to boost up and to keep your lungs healthy and to keep your nervous system in place healthy, it is a good practice to try and blow the conch shell every morning, 3 times. So on seeing the discouraged, nervous Duryodhana, grandfather Pitamaha Bhishma, he blew his conch to alleviate his fears and to instill some kind of confidence in him. What happens next is Tadashankhaschya bheryascha panavanaka go mukhaha sahasaivabhyahanyanta sashabdastumulo bhavat. Once Pitamaha Bhishma, he blew his conch shell, tata, thereafter, Shankha, conch shell, Bherya is large drums, what we call in Hindi, dhol, nagade. So that Bherya, Panava Anaka is small drums, kettle drums, or some instrument like mridunga, gomukha. Gomukha is the horn. Sahasa. Sahasa is suddenly, all of a sudden. Abhyahanyanta started sounding. Shabda, the combined sound of all the instruments which were played suddenly. Tumula, tumultuous. Tumula, very, very loud. Abhavata, become. So when Pitamaha Bhishma, he blew his conch shell very, very loudly. Soon after that, the war hysteria, it engulfed the Kaurava army. Everybody in Kaurava side got charged up with the blowing of conch shell by Pitamaha Bhishma. And the other conch shells, drums, bugles, trumpets, horns were all sounded suddenly all together. And the combined sound produced was intensely blustering and thunderous. Now, in those times, along with the weapons and the artillery, musical instruments too were brought to the battlefield, which is not done now, but those days. The loud booming sound thus played by the instrument, it used to create and instill great confidence even in the weak soldiers. Even the weak, feeble soldiers also used to get charged up with that sounding of musical instruments. We experience this on every 26th of January and 15th of August. When the songs of patriotism and nationalism are going all around on radio, on TV, on FM channels, everywhere, then we also get charged up with the national spirit and the spirit of patriotism. The musicians gathered at the battlefield, they would create this thunderous, moral boosting sound like we experience. And this was done before the start of the fight, before the start of the war. Having done that, at the end of the day, because in Mahabharata, the war used to get played between Kauravas and Pandavas, morning, sunrise till sunset. After sunset, ceasefire till next day. So after that ceasefire, after the sunset, the same musicians used to gather at the who used to gather at the battlefield. What they would do, they would be playing the calming music or the soothing music for the injured soldiers. During the day, hundreds, thousands of soldiers would get injured. When they are resting in their camps, these musicians would go and play the calming, soothing music for them. This calming music would act like a healing balm for the wounded soldiers. So music had very important role in the battles for those days. What an interesting usage of music during the war. But then it used to be a righteous war. War used to be fought based on some certain rules. And that was being fought ethically with some kind of integrity, wisdom, and rules. Unlike today's wars, when the enemy can enter into a residential area and can start bombing the residential areas as well. This was not done in those days. That's why Kurukshetra was selected, so that all residential areas do not get harmed due to war between Kauravas and Pandavas. This place was to get used to get selected, in this case Kurukshetra. What happens next? 14th. Tadashvetairhayiryukte mahadisyandane sthitau madavah pandavaschaivo divyau shankau pradadmaduhu. This shloka needs clapping from all of us, because this shows, this denotes the entry of Lord Krishna on the battlefield. Tatashvetairhayiryukte, thereafter, Shvet, white, Hai, horses, Yukte, being pulled, Mahati, Mahati is great, Syandane, Syandane is Ratha, chariot, Sthitau, Sthitau is situated, Madhava, Lord Krishna, Pandava, Arjuna, Divya, divine, Shankho, conch shell, we know it, Pradadmatuhu, to blow. Thereafter, something happened which charged up all Pandavas. What happened? As this clamorous sound on one side a great chariot drawn by the pristine white horses, Shvetair entered the battlefield. And who was there in the chariot? Lord Krishna and Arjuna were seated on the chariot, and then they sounded their divine conch shells. So this is the entry of Lord Krishna in Bhagavad Gita on the field of Kurukshetra. So what a beautiful description in this shloka. See, although Bhagavad Gita is Lord Krishna's divine song, but it is written by Maharishi Vedavyas, and he wrote it down from his memory. Try to visualize. Imagine in front of you the battlefield of Kurukshetra, and imagine the scenario through your heart. The celestial white pristine horses drawing the grand chariot, grand Ratha, and seated on this chariot is our beloved, magnificent Lord Krishna. In his yellow satin clothes and beautiful peacock feathers adorning the bejeweled crown on his head, his face beaming with lustrous radiance, a dazzling smile on his lips, which normally we see any photo of Lord Krishna, you see he has a typical smile on his face, always smiling face, and immersed in sheer bliss. What an enchanting and pleasing sight that could be. Lord Krishna entering the battlefield. Now Shri Krishna is holding the horses of the chariot. He is performing the role of a charioteer, while Arjuna is standing at the back of the chariot, at the back of the Ratha. Such a chariot, it entered the battlefield, and Lord Shri Krishna responded to the sounds emanating from the Kauravas' camp by blowing his own divine conch shell. Lord Krishna sounded his own conch shell, and it goes without saying that the resultant sound resonated everywhere. Paramatma sounding his conch shell, it will resonate the whole world, obviously. This divine sound, it instilled great enthusiasm in the generals of Pandava's camps, and they too started blowing their conch shells afterwards. So blowing of conch shell from Pandava's side was started by Lord Krishna, and then after Arjuna. We go to next shloka, 15. Panchajanyam Hrishikesho Devadattandhananjayah Paundrandadmau Mahashankham Bhimakarma Vrukodaraha. Panchajanyam Hrishikesho. Panchajanya is the name of conch shell which was blown by Lord Krishna. Hrishikesha. Hrishikesha is of course Lord Krishna. Devadatta. Devadatta is the name of conch shell which was blown by Arjuna. Dhananjaya. Dhananjaya is Arjuna. Poundram. Pounder was the name of conch shell blown by Bhima. Dadmo is to blow. Mahashankam, very, very big, terrific conch shell. That Mahashankam was of Lord Bhima. Bhima Karma, a person who performs very huge Herculean task is Bhima Karma. Vrukodaraha, someone whose udar, whose belly, whose stomach is so big that he can eat anything at any time and whatever amount. He is always hungry. He can eat anything, anytime, in whatever quantity. So Vrukodara, person having a very, very huge amount of hunger all the time. So Lord Krishna, he blew his conch shell called Panchajanya. Arjuna blew his conch shell known as Devadatta. And Bhima, the performance of Herculean task, he blew his marvelous, huge conch shell called Poundra. Now Shri Krishna's conch was called Panchajanya. And what a befitting name that was, Panchajanya. Panchajanya denotes the composite of 5 symbols. When a sound is produced, this becomes possible with interplay of 5 elements. Sound vibrations travel in air. Air exists in ether, that means sky. The fire element plays an important role, integral role in this. The 5 elements, Pancha Mahabhuta, earth, water, fire, air, and ether. They constitute the entire manifest world, including not only your body and my body, but even the body of Lord Krishna. It was consisting of these Pancha Mahabhuta. Moreover, there are 5 sense organs. We have 5 Jnanendriya and 5 Karmendriyas in our body. Hence, a very apt name of Panchajanya, denoting all these 5. Now, Arjuna's conch shell was named Devadatta. Deva means divine, Deva, and virtuous. Arjuna was of a pure and noble disposition, which justifies the name of its conch shell as Devadatta. This conch was given to Arjuna by King Indra when Pandavas they performed the Rajasuya Yajna. On the other hand, Bhima, who was physically very, very strong and robust, his conch shell was called Poundra, which produced a frightening and monstrously huge sound. So the conch shells reflected their individual personalities: Panchajanya, Rishikesh, Devadatta, Arjuna, and Poundra, Bhima. Scriptures, our Adhyatmic mythological literature, it describes Arjuna as embodiment of Teja, or Panchamahabhuta. All Pandavas are symbols of Panchamahabhuta. Arjuna representing Teja, and Bhima embodiment of Vayu. Vayu in storm, Vayu in cyclone is very, very destructive, like the characteristic of Bhima. Bhima was very destructive. So there are stories in scriptures comparing and identifying 5 Pandavas with Panchamahabhuta. Panchamahabhuta means earth, water, fire, air, and ether. Now, the question may come to our mind is, were these people in the battlefield for fighting or for blowing their conch shells? Why everyone is blowing his conch shell instead of starting the fight? But remember that this was a war being fought by people who were wise. They knew that doing so would infuse courage and enthusiasm in their soldiers and simultaneously dampen the spirit of their enemies. So to dampen the spirit of enemies and to boost up the morale of your own soldiers, you blow the conch shell. What happens next? 16th sloka. Ananta Vijayam Raja Kunti Putro Yudhishthiraha Nakulas Sahadevascha Sughoshamani Pushpakau. This series of blowing of conch shell continues. Ananta Vijayam Raja Kunti Putro Yudhishthiraha Nakulas Sahadevascha Sughosha Mani Pushpakau. Sons of Kunti, the king Yudhishthira, he blew his conch shell named Ananta Vijaya, along with Nakul and Sahadeva, whose conch shells were called Sughosha and Mani Pushpak, respectively. Sughosh and Mani Pushpak. Actually, Arjuna, Bhima, and Yudhishthira, 3 were Kunti's sons, while Nakul and Sahadeva were Madri's sons. They were not Kunti's sons, they were Madri's sons. So the adjective here used, Kunti Putra, is basically used for Yudhishthira. So Nakul Sahadeva also used to call Kunti as their mother only. She was also like mother there only. But their real mother was Madri, not Kunti. Now Yudhishthira has been called king, Raja, because he was the ruler of half of the Indraprastha kingdom before they went to Vanvasa, before exile. And according to the promise and according to the law even that time, he should have been the king after coming back from that exile and that Vanvas incognito residence of 1 year. Moreover, by calling him king, probably Sanjaya wanted to give a hint that he would be the king of entire territory afterwards. Maybe he imagined the result of war and then he said probably that Yudhishthira is going to be the king. So he calls him king. Now Yudhishthira is known as Dharmaraja, which literally means king of Dharma. Dharmaraj, king of Dharma. But here Dharma does not refer to the absolute truth. We call Dharma in Bhagavad-Gītā as Dharma means one who has understood his Dharma, his duty, and Dharma is knowing yourself, your swa, self-realization and God realization is dharma. So this Dharmaraj, which was Yudhishthira's calling, he was not Dharmaraj in that sense. Rather, it represented the social rules on moral conduct, which Yudhishthira followed very precisely. And that is why he was referred to as Dharmaraj. He used to follow the social rules and the rules of moral conduct. Not that he had done self-realization or the God realization. That dharma is different. This dharma is different. But even though he was called Dharmaraj, he nevertheless did commit a blunder, an error of judgment, when by gambling away, he gambled his brothers and his wife in the gamble with Kauravas. But that one lapse did not wipe out all his character. His quality was he never lost his cool. He was extremely respectful to all elders, including Dhritarashtra. He was very well aware of Duryodhana's animosity towards Pandavas, but he always stopped even Bhima from retaliating, saying that our dharma doesn't allow this. Anger cannot be a tool of retaliation. So these were the principles which he was following, and that was the reason he was called Dharmaraj. All these reasons he was called Dharmaraj. As I said, dharma following social rules and moral conduct is different than the dharma of knowing the absolute truth. What is the absolute truth? Knowing Swa, knowing self-realization and the God realization. So that dharma is different. That requires highest wisdom. Yudhishthira was in the former category of dharma, social rules and moral conduct. Okay, we go to 17th sloka now. काश्यश्च परमेश्वासः शिखण्डी च महारथः दृष्टद्युम्नो विराटश्च सात्यकिश्च पराजितः. Kashya means the king of Kashi. Parameshwasah, the great archer. Maharatha. Maharatha, by definition, is one who can fight against 1,000 people alone, or one who can lead a team of 10,000 soldiers from his side. He is called Maharatha. Drushtadhyumno. He was the son of King Drupad. Virat, the king who had given shelter to Pandavas when they were in the disguise for 1 year. That place of incognito, they stayed there for 1 year. So King Virat was the king who gave them shelter during that 1 year. Satyaki aparajitaha. Satyaki, who had never been won over by his opponent. So this shloka says, or let us read shloka 18 also. Shloka 17 and 18 almost go together. Shloka 18. Drupado Draupadeyascha Sarvashah Prithivipate Saubhadrashcha Mahabahush Shankhan Dadmah Prathak Prathak. The king of Kashi. The king of Kashi was excellent archer, and Shikhandi, the great fighter, Maharatha. Drushtadhyumno, Virat, and the unconquerable Satyaki, they all blew their conch shells. Thereafter, Drupad, the son of Draupadi, and the mighty armed, extraordinarily handsome son of Subhadra, and Arjuna, who Abhimanyu. They blew their conch shells. Now, this great fighter, Maharatha Shikhandi, was very brave. In his previous life, previous birth, he was a woman, daughter named Amba of King of Kashi. This Shikhandi was Amba in his previous birth. And in this birth also, when born, he was born as a daughter to King Drupad. Afterwards, she became a man by getting a manhood from a Jaini. That is the story. Bhishma knew all this, and therefore he regarded Shikhandi as a woman and did not shoot any arrows at him. At woman, he would not shoot any arrow. So Arjuna, while fighting, kept this in mind, and he always kept Shikhandi ahead. and shot arrows at Bhishma, and then in the process overthrew Bhishma from his ratha, from his chariot, taking advantage of his weakness against Shikhandi. So that was Shikhandi. Now Arjuna's son Abhimanyu, he was very, very brave. In the warfare, he killed many, many warriors by entering in the Chakra Vyuha, that means the array of soldiers in the form of circle, which were formed by Dronacharya. But then, when they thought that he is unconquerable, Abhimanyu, the 6 great warriors from side of Kauravas, from the army of Kauravas, they surrounded him and by foul means attacked him with weapons. He was killed when Dushasana's son hit him on the head with his gada, with his mace. He was hit on the backside of his head from the back. Because otherwise he was not getting killed. His bravery was destroying Kauravas' army. Now Sanjaya mentions only one warrior, that is Bhishma, Pitamaha Bhishma, who blew his conch shell from Kauravas' army. While he mentioned 18 warriors, if you count all the warriors which were named in the previous shlokas, 18 warriors who blew their conch shells from Pandava's side. Lord Krishna, Arjuna, Bhima, Yudhishthira, Snakula, Sahadeva, 5 sons of Draupadi, etc., etc., etc. So total 18 warriors are named by Sanjaya as they blew their conch shells in the battlefield of Kurukshetra. It seems Sanjaya did not want to describe the unrighteous side of Kaurava's army in great details. But he had great regard for Lord Krishna, the Pandavas, and the Pandavas' army, because he knew that they are on the right side. Pandava's side was the side of righteousness. So he thought it proper, Sanjaya, to describe the warriors of Pandava army in more details. And he took delight in describing Pandavas in great details. We go to next shloka, 19. Sogosho dhartarashranam hridaya nivyadharayat navasya prithivim tumulo vyanunadayan. So, some is that Ghosho. Ghosh means sound, vibrations. Dhartarashtran, sons of Dharashtra. Hridayani, the hearts. Vyadarayat, Vyadarayat is shattered. Nabha, sky. Prithivim, the earth. Tumul, very, very loud. Vyanunadayan, the sound and its echo. When we go to the hilltop and shout loudly, we get an echo. So this is Vyanunadayan. So this terrible dream, the blowing of these different conch shells, because they become very, very loud, vibrating and sounding both in the sky and on the earth. That loud sound shattered the hearts of sons of Dharashtra. So Gosho Dhartarashtranam hridayani vyadarayat navasya prithivim tumulo vyanunadayan. Sagosho dhartarashtranam hridayani vyadarayat navasya prithivim tumulo vyanunadayan. The sound of the conch shells of Pandava army was so thunderous, so roaring, so horrifying that it echoed through the sky and earth. And it shattered the hearts of Kauravas, who had snatched away the empire from Pandavas, and also of the kings who were supporting Kauravas, who had come to fight from the side of Kauravas. It means that as a weapon, it shatters the heart and causes it pain. So does the sound of these conchs. The sound discouraged the Kaurava army and its warriors. They were horror-struck with that huge sound which filled the sky and the earth. Now here the question may arise as why there was the effect of sound of the war instruments such as this conch and drums and everything of 11 Akshahini army. That was the size of army of Kauravas. The proportion of Kaurava versus Pandava was 7 versus 11. The Kaurava's army was 11 Akshauhini. We can go into details of what is Akshauhini. Akshauhini is maybe around 1,09,350 soldiers, then 65,000 horses, then maybe 22,000 rathas. All this constitutes one Akshavani. Like that, 11 Akshavani army Kauravas had. And while Pandavas, they had 7 Akshavani. But here we are talking of Kauravas getting shattered because of the sounding of conch shells by Pandavas army. But why there is no shattering of Pandavas' heart because of conch shells being blown by Kauravas? The answer is that the hearts of those who are righteous and just they cannot be shattered. They have got a strong heart because they are on the right side. The truth is on their side. That truth makes their heart very, very strong. Nobody can shatter those hearts. The strength of truth is such huge that nobody can shatter the truth. Nobody can shatter their heart who are on the right side. Pandavas had ruled over the empire with justice and righteousness before their exile, and also demanded their empire from Kauravas legitimately, which was also a just demand. On the other hand, the hearts of those who are unrighteous, like Kauravas, unjust and sinful, like Kauravas, their hearts are weak, doubtful, and full of fear. They may be strong physically, but in the heart they are weak because they know we are doing something wrong. It is their sin or injustice which weakens their heart. So unrighteous people have weak heart, righteous people have strong heart. This is the conclusion we can draw. Duryodhana and his group, they tried their best to kill Pandavas by any means. They snatched their empire and caused them much trouble. They did not leave a single opportunity to trouble Pandavas. Thus, they stood on the side of unrighteousness, Kauravas. So the sound of the conch of 7 Akshavani army of Pandavas, it shattered the hearts of 11 Akshavani army of Kauravas. Now this incident, it reminds one more thing, that a striver, a sadhak, he should never have unjust and unrighteousness dealings through his body, through his speech, or through his mind. Gita treats actions taken by your body, by speech or mind as your karma. Shri Vangmano Viryat karma prarabhate nara. There is a shloka in 18th adhyay. All the kriyas of your body, your speech and your mind are your karmas. So don't be unjust and unrighteous in your action which you take through your body, through your speech or through your mind. Because this weakens the heart and it creates fear. For example, Ravana was very, very powerful. Everybody used to get scared of it. He was such powerful, even the gods, demigods used to get scared of Ravana. That was his bravery. That was his power. That was his strength. But when he abducted Sita, he being terrified, knowing that he had done something wrong, he looked here and there to see if anyone is watching him, because he had done a bad act. So when you do a bad act, you obviously become weak in your heart. You become fearful. So from this shloka, what we understand is this: don't follow any unjust or unrighteous means to achieve your objective. Otherwise, you will have a very weak side on your side. Okay, we go to next shloka now. 20. Atha vyavasthitan dratva dhartarashtraन् kapidhvajah pravritte shastra sampate dhanurudyamya pandavaha. Atha, thereupon, now, vyavasthitan, well standing, situated, draštva, to seeing dhartarashtraन्, the sons of Dharashtra, kapidhvajah, kapi, Hanuman, dvaja, flag, pravritte, about to start, shastra sampate, just starting to use the weapons, shastra sampate, dhanu, dhanu is dhanusha, bow, udyamya, to take up, to lift, and Pandava is of course Arjuna. So Sanjay is telling Dhritarashtra that after that Arjuna on whose chariot was hoisted a flag with the photo of Hanumana. Arjuna's Ratha was having a flag bearing the photo of Hanumana. He looked at the sons of Dhritarashtra standing firmly in the military array and lifted his bow in preparation for the battle. As if the war is just to start, Arjuna lifted his Dhanusha, seated in the chariot, which was having a flag bearing the photo of Hanumana. Now, Vedavyas is saying that there is a flag with a symbol of Hanuman on it, on the chariot of Arjuna, which is hoisted on the chariot of Arjuna, which was driven by charioteer was Lord Krishna. This is not a mere coincidence. There is a meaning behind it. The one who had appeared as Lord Shri Ram in the previous era, he only appeared as Shri Krishna in this era. Hanuman had played a very pivotal role in Ramayana. As we all know, today is Hanuman Jayanti. When I am saying this to you, I think we should remember that Hanuman Jayanti has just passed a couple of days back. And that Hanuman Jayanti was the time when we all remember not only Lord Rama, also equally Lord, Hanumana. Hanumana had a very, very pivotal role in the whole of Ramayana. Now, when he was on the side of Lord Rama and he helped immensely on all fronts in the army of Lord Rama, be it assembling the army or tracing the whereabouts of Sita and much more. So now when Lord Krishna was facing the situation of war, how was it possible that Hanumana would keep away from it? Is it possible? Ultimately, Lord Krishna was reincarnation of Lord Rama only. So how could Hanumana keep away? Can Hanumana be separated from Rama? Never, cannot imagine. So it is believed that both Hanuman and Bhima, they were the sons of Vayu, Lord of Wind. And as the story goes, once Draupadi asked Bhima to bring some kind of flower from the hilltop. When Bhima climbed the mountain from where the tree was there, bearing that flower, when he reached the top, it is said, he met Hanuman on that hilltop. The aging Hanumana was sleeping on the ground with his tail stretched out, which was obstructing the path of Bhima when he was going on the mountain. And Bhima, not being very intelligent, not so sharp, he almost shouted, yelled at Hanumana to move his tail. I am going up, please move your tail. It is obstructing my way. Hanumana did not say anything. But when Bhima ordered him again and again, Hanumanji, he finally spoke. He said, I am old, so how can I move this long, heavy tail? My dear, why don't you help me and move this tail yourself? So Bhima decided to do it himself. First, he tried to move the tail by pushing it with his feet, like any arrogant person would do. But he did not budge. Then he grabbed it with his mighty hands and tried to lift it up. It still did not move an inch. Now Bhima got scared. And he realized that this was no ordinary being. He is something different. He bowed down and with folded hands and then asked Hanumanji to reveal his true identity. Who are you? Hanumanji then appeared in his real form and said, I am your elder brother. I am also the son of Vayu. You are also the son of Vayu. I am your elder brother, Bhima, and I have come here to advise you. Use your intellect in the war. Don't use only your power, but use your intellect in the war that you will be fighting in the near future. Don't underestimate your opponent's power by merely going on his physical appearance. Don't make the error of judgment. Use your intellect. So at the time of war, when all the supporters, friends, relatives of Pandavas, they came together, Hanuman could remain away. So he did not remain away. He also joined Pandavas, but in the form of a sign on the flag, not in his physical form, but in the sign of on the flag. But since it was not Hanuman's era, he did not manifest in the physical form because it was different era. Hanuman is immortal. He could come anytime, even today, because he is one of the 8 immortals. But it was not his era, so he did not manifest in his physical form in Mahabharata war. But in order to support his brother and to assist his beloved master, Shri Krishna, which was Shri Rama, Hanuman established himself as a symbol on the flag. So if it may seem to be only a symbol, but as we know the story of Mahabharata, so many weapons were fired at the chariot of Arjuna, but it did not damage the chariot because the flag holder was Hanumana. And at the end of war, we know the story in Mahabharata, when Krishna asked Arjuna to get down from the chariot. Arjuna said, no, you first get down. Lord Krishna said, no, you first get down. When Arjuna got down, after that Krishna got down, Shri Krishna got down from the chariot, the whole chariot went into fire. It was all protected by Hanumana all these days during the war. So that was the power, that was the involvement of Hanumana in the war of Mahabharata as well. The rest of the shloka says that at the time Arjuna took up his bow and prepared to fight shoot the first arrow. After looking at the sons of Dhritarashtra, who were standing in the form of a military formation, he spoke these words to whom? To Rishikesham Vakyamidamahamahi. We go to next shloka now. Rishikesham Dada Vakyamidamahamahi Arjuna Vacho Senayor Bhayor Madhye Ratham Sthapayamechyuta. Senayor Bhayor Madhye Ratham Sthapayamechyuta. Achyuta means Arjuna, Lord Krishna, please place my chariot between the two armies and hold it there, keep it there, till I have carefully observed the war-minded warriors with whom I have to fight this war. Let me see them. Achyuta Senayor Bhair Madhye Ratham Sthapaya. So two armies were standing against each other. They were stationed at such a distance from each other from where they could shoot the arrows against each other. Arjuna asked Lord Krishna to place his chariot in the middle. To begin with, Arjuna was valiant, very brave. But when he saw his kith and kin in the battle, he developed an attitude of disinterest in the war, being overtaken by the attachment with his friends, relatives, gurus, and all whatnot. It means that a man, in whatever circumstances he is, by making proper use of circumstances, can be free from desires and can realize God. Because God Paramatma always remains uniform in all the circumstances. Next shloka says, Rishikeshanda Vakyamidama Mahipate Senayor Tam Sthapayamechyuta Yavadetan Nirikshe Yoddhukamanavasthitan Kairmaya Sah Yoddhavyam Aspin Ranasamudyame. Shlok number 22. So how long this chariot is to be kept between the two armies? Arjuna says, hold the chariot there till I carefully observe my enemies, the war-minded kings who have come here to fight the war, who are stationed in the army of Kauravas and with whom I have to wage the war. Let me see those heroes from their side with whom I have to encounter. Let me see also which of them are inferior, superior, or equal to me in their heroism, in their bravery. It's always a good practice to observe the enemy and then you plan the strategy. So Arjuna followed the same strategy to observe the enemy first. It is a different matter that after observing the enemy, his heart changed, and that caused the Geeta. So here, Yuddhu Kaman. Yuddhu Kaman, Arjuna means to say that they have, Pandavas already had sent proposal for conciliation to Pandava. But Kauravas did not accept it. And they had the keen desire to wage the war. Among Kauravas, Duryodhana particularly had the keen desire to wage the war. So he wants to observe the warriors and their bravery, which makes them so confident to wage the war against Pandavas and against Arjuna in particular. Who are these people who have come here to fight war against me? Let me observe. So that was like a typical Kshatriya. Okay, we go to next sloka now, 23rd. Yotsyamanana vekshe hanya etetra samagataha dhartarashtrasya durbuddhir yuddhe priyachikirshavaha. युद्धे प्रियचिकीर्षवः योत्स्यमानानवेक्ष्यहं एतेऽत्र समागतः धार्तराष्ट्रस्य दुर्बुद्धेर् युद्धे प्रियचिकीर्षवः. Here Arjuna, by calling Duryodhana as evil-minded, Durbuddhe, he wants to convey how Duryodhana conspired for their destruction several times. He tried to kill Pandavas several times in the past, even when they were in the Vanvasa or when they are in that place of incognito. He tried several times to kill Pandavas. Arjuna says, we are the lawful owner of half of the empire of this Hastinapur, of Indraprastha, but he wants to snatch away everything. He is evil-minded. He is Durbuddhi person. And these kings who have assembled here to try to do good with him, to support him, but the duty of a friend honestly should be to give him such advice as may add to his welfare now. They should have advised Duryodhana not to enter into war and make some kind of conciliation with Pandavas. Give them something and close the issue. So instead of doing that, these kings have joined Duryodhana in fighting the war. So Arjuna was very curious to know how these people, instead of advising Duryodhana not to take the war, they have come here in support of Duryodhana to fight a war against Pandavas. Who are these characters? Who are these people? And how they could develop this strong desire to fight a war? So as friends, they should have advised him to rule over half of the kingdom and hand over the half to Pandavas. Thus he would have been ruled, he could have ruled half of the empire, and his life in the next world could also have been protected because he had not done any papa karma in that case. As per agreement, he handed over half to Pandavas. So it is happy situation, win-win situation for both Kauravas and Pandavas. But Duryodhana, being a Durbuddhi person, he did not do it. Yotsamananavekshaham etetra samagataha. He says, Arjuna, I want to observe the warriors who are so impatient to wage war against us. They have favored the unrighteous side and injustice. So they are sure to get ruined in the war because unjust side gets ruined. Unrighteousness side gets ruined in the war. Let me see who are those people. Yotsamanana, in this Arjuna wants to see those who have that keen desire to fight the war. Okay, we go to next sloka now, 24. Evamukto Rishikesho Gudakeshena Bharata. This is Sanjaya Vacha. Sanjaya Vacha. Evamukto Rishikesho Gudakeshena Bharata. Senayor Bhayor Madhye Sthapayitva Rathottamam. We'll take 25th also. Bhishmadrona Pramukatas Sarvesha Intamahikshitam. Uvacha Partha Pashyaitan Samavetan Kuru Niti. Evamukto Rishikesho Gudakeshena Bharata Senayor Bhayor Madhye Sthapayitva Rathottamam. Bhishmadrona Pramukatas Sarvesha Intamahikshitam. Uvacha Partha Pashyaitan Samavetan Kuru Niti. Now here Gudakesh. Gudakesh has two meanings. Guda means curled and Kesha means hair. So it means one having curly hair. So Arjuna was a Gudakesh. She had curly hair. Gudakesh, another meaning is one having control over sleep. If he decides I will sleep for 2 hours and 10 minutes, after 2 or 10 minutes, he will wake up. That is his control over the sleep. So that person also called Gudakesh. Now Gudakesh, Arjuna was Gudakesh in the both senses. He had curly hair and he had control over his sleep also. Eva Mukta, one who is not slave to sleep, idleness and the materialistic pleasure, but he is a devotee of God, slave to the God. God listens to such a person and even follows his instructions, like Arjuna, Krishna followed instructions of Arjuna. You be my charioteer, okay. You take my chariot here, Shenayur Bhair Madhye, okay. So he followed his orders. So in order to carry out the wish of his devotee friend Arjuna, Lord Krishna placed the chariot between the two armies. Evam uktva. Evam uktva. After saying like this. Rishikesha. Rishikesh. Rishi means senses. Rishikesha means the Lord of senses. Arjuna, Krishna was the Lord of senses. Who is the inspirer of mind, intellect and senses is Lord Krishna, Rishikesh, who commands the whole world. And he has come as a chariot driver to carry out Arjuna's wish. It shows how kind Lord Krishna was to Arjuna. Senayor bhayar madhye sthapayitva rathottamam. As instructed by Arjuna, Lord Krishna stationed Arjuna's chariot, Ratha, in the open space between the two armies. Bhishma-Drona Pramagata Sarvain Chaita Mahikshitam. Oh my God. Now the Arjuna Vishad will start. Lord Krishna placed the chariot at such a point from where he could see Bhishma, Dronacharya, all the chief kings and warriors of Kaurava army. Uvacha Partha Pashaitan Samavetan Kuru Niti. Lord Krishna says, see all the Kuru dynasty people standing here. He did not say Dhartarashtra, not the sons of Dharashtra, but Kuru. Kuru was the dynasty of Pandavas as well. So probably Krishna wanted to tell Arjuna that this is Kuru versus Kuru war. You will be fighting against your own people. You are also Kuru dynasty. Kaurava was also Kuru dynasty. To probably instill a feeling of some kind of fear in the Arjuna, whether to take war against his relations, his friends, his gurus, who belong to the same dynasty as him, Kuru. If that had not happened, and if he had used the word Dhartarashtra, sons of Dharashtra, probably Arjuna would have started the war. But saying Kuru, probably it stressed that they are also belonging to the same dynasty as you. So would you like to take the war? Now that probably caused the Geeta. When Arjuna saw all the enemies, Bhishma, Drona, Paramagata, Sarvain Chaita Mahikshitam, so that caused the war of Mahabharata. Rest of the shlokas we'll take in the next session. Thank you so very much. Jai Shri Krishna. And now the forum is open for all of you to raise your questions. In the last session also, I think questions answer session was skipped. You can raise questions about the first 10 shlokas, what we covered in the last session, and the shlokas, of course, what we covered in today's session. So up to 25th of shlokas, first to 25th, whatever questions you have, please feel free to raise your questions. Thanks a lot. Jai Shri Krishna.
Jai Shri Krishna. Thank you so much, Bhaiya, for such a simple and beautiful explanation. And now, as we said, for question answer, Rajendra Bhaiya, yes. Yes, Bhaiya, please unmute.
Didi, what I mean to say, had the Drashta not been so intensely occupied by the thought of grabbing the throne of Hastinapur, which he could not get the rightful act by his Bhishma or other elders did not allow him. Now that's why he never stopped Duryodhana doing the ill deeds. He kept on watching Duryodhana's rise by the ill deeds. And ultimately he made Duryodhana so evil person that he ended with the Mahabharata war. Otherwise, had he been a little bit sensible person and thought of stopping the Duryodhana doing ill deeds, the Mahabharata would have not been there.
You see, you're right. It was only one person who could have stopped the war of Mahabharata, and that was Dhritarashtra. But why he did not do that? Secondly, when Sanjaya heard the entire Geeta, told by Lord Sri Krishna, he got changed himself. Arjuna got changed himself. Everybody's thinking got changed, but it did not affect Dhritarashtra. He also heard the same thing because Sanjay was narrating entire Gita to him, to Dhritarashtra, but he did not change. Why? Because right from the beginning, Dhritarashtra, Duryodhana had huge grudge against Pandavas. Why? Because as we discussed in last session, Dhritarashtra was denied the throne of Hastinapur in the beginning. It was given to Pandu. Pandu was younger brother of Dhritarashtra, but even then, out of turn, it was given to Pandu and not to Dhritarashtra. And when Pandu died, after that, it was given to Dhritarashtra. And Dhritarashtra managed it well. So Duryodhana's charge against Bhishma and against Pandava was that if Dhritarashtra was blind since his birth, was it his fault? Was it his fault that he was blind since with the birth? No. And then when he proved himself after Pandu died, why it was not given to him when Pandu was alive? When he was the elder brother, why it was not given to him? Thirdly, when Dhritarashtra was the king of Hastinapur, why the question of dividing the kingdom came? When there is a king, there should not be any question of division of the kingdom. So why Pandavas are claiming half of the kingdom when the king is alive? So these are all the questions which Duryodhana had in his mind, and same way Dhritarashtra had. That is the reason that, as we say that nobody in the war of Mahabharata, there is no party, there is no person who is totally right or who is totally wrong. There are wrongs on Pandava side, there are wrongs absolutely on the Kaurava side as well. So Mahabharata is a wonderful epic wherein we find people with characters which are not totally white, not totally black. So this is the beauty of Mahabharata, and this is the beauty of Geeta, that it deals with characters who are mixed characters, who are not totally good, not totally bad. For example, Karna was treated by Pandavas. Karna was, son of Kunti. So he was brother of Pandavas, but he was not treated by Pandavas as their brother. They always treated him as Sutaputra because he was raised by the family of a maid servant. So they never treated him as our brother. But Duryodhana treated him as his brother, and Duryodhana gave him good respect for his bravery. So this was a good character of Duryodhana, and that goes against Pandavas because they did not treat their own brother as their own brother. So there are shades of black in Pandavas, and there are shades of good in Duryodhana as well. So this we need to understand in entire context of Mahabharata, that nobody is totally good and nobody is totally bad. Right?
Still anybody is having any questions? Can raise hand and ask. Yeah, please. Requesting you all, you have to keep your camera on. Yes, Didi. Please unmute.
Namaste, Bhaiya. I also had question on Bhishma. He seems to be a larger than life character, and I'm just wondering, when he took an oath to support whoever sits on the throne, how far was that oath encompassing the right and wrong, right? So one major incident that comes in my mind is when Draupadi was getting derobed. Wasn't it his, I mean, I can understand that he was supporting the throne, but couldn't he have done anything different than what he did by staying, just in mute spectator? That's my only question.
Yeah, that's true. These are all the things which went against Bhishmacharya, Dronacharya, Krupacharya, and Krishna had only this thing in mind. When these people are talking of justice, why did not they do justice to Draupadi when she was getting publicly disturbed by Dushasanas? So there were wrongs on Kaurava side, and the punishment that they got was because of these wrongs only. Bhishmacharya was totally wrong, though he was the senior most in the Kuru Vansha. He was called Pitamaha Bhishma. So he was the senior most. Who seated Dhritarashtra in the throne? Who seated Pandu in the throne? So he was the one who was deciding character in the whole of Mahabharata. He was the deciding factor. But even he did not stop the disrobing of Draupadi. So this went definitely against the Bhishmacharya also. And that's the reason that he had to face the consequences. And then he had to die at the hands of Arjuna in the war of Kurukshetra. So everybody has to pay for his wrong deeds. Even Bhishmacharya, though he was a Mahan Yogi, he was the most devoted yogi, he was the most devoted sadhak, he was the most devoted yogi of Lord Vishnu, who said Vishnu Sahasranam at the Kurukshetra. You know, Vishnu Sahasranam is said by Bhishmacharya in the battlefield of Kurukshetra. He is the originator, though it is said by Maharishi Vedavyasa, but it was first time said by Bhishmacharya in the war field of Kurukshetra. But despite all good on his side, he had to pay the price for his bad deeds. And he had to die at the hands of his own disciple, at the hands of his own grandson, Arjuna. So everybody has to pay for his karmas. Nobody gets spared. Nobody gets spared. Dronacharya did not get spared. Bhishmacharya did not get spared. Nobody gets spared. So this is the message we learn from the Mahabharata, from Geeta, that whatever you do, you have to pay the price for that. Even if you are the greatest yogi, you may be the most devoted sadhak of Paramatma, but whatever wrong thing you have done, you have to pay the price for that. Bhishmacharya paid the price for his wrong deeds.
Yes, Dipti Didi.
Jai Shri Krishna, Bhaiya. It was really nice. Bhaiya, I had two questions. One is on Shloka 21, the another is in 24. Both place we see Rishikeshan and Rishikeshu. Is it the same? Like, does it mean Lord Krishna? And is it the same? Like, no, in the 21 it says Rishikeshan Tada Vakyam. So who is the person we are talking about? What is Rishikesh?
Yeah, Rishikesh is Bhagavan Shri Krishna only. It is the Vyakaran, it is the grammar of Sanskrita. One, it is said to Rishikesha, and another is Rishikesh said something. So it is Rishikeshan Tada Vakyamidamaha Mahipate.
Okay, so Rishikeshan means Krishna.
Rishik is Indriya and he is the Lord. So Lord of Indriyas, that is Rishikesha. It's Lord Krishna. Rishikesh is the name of only Lord Krishna, nobody else.
Okay. And so in the 21 shloka, it is coming as like, no, in between that Arjuna Uvacha comes. So that will it be considered as Anushtup Chand, or will it be, it's a different kind of a paraphrasing of the shloka?
No, it is Anushtup Chanda only, because if you see the charan wise, then each charan has only 8 characters. Characters only. Because if there are 8 characters in the charan, then it is Anushtup only. When there are 11 characters, then it becomes Trishtup.
Trishtup. Okay. Because in between, Arjuna Uvacha comes in between instead of in the beginning, it comes in the between. So that is why my question was, is it together or is it separate?
The question is, why Arjuna did not allow that shlok to get completed? Why he didn't interrupt? The reason is, Arjuna was so impatient. That he did not allow that even one shloka to get completed, and he interrupted that. After 2 years, he stopped talking something and he started speaking himself because he was so impatient.
Thank you so much. Thank
you. Yes, Nanak Bhaiya.
Jai Shri Krishna Bhaiya. Bhaiya, I want to raise a question regarding this Sar Dharman Parityaja. What are those dharma which the God asks us to renounce?
You see, dharma means not our kartavya karma. Dharma means when you get stuck into thinking as to what is right and what is wrong that you need to do. For example, Arjuna's dharma as a kshatriya was to fight the war. But he was confused. What is my dharma? Is it my dharma to kill my teachers? Is it my dharma to kill my relatives? So when you get stuck in all that, Paramatma says, Sarva Dharman Parityajya. Surrender everything to me. Mamekam Sharanam Vraja. Surrender to me. And then you follow what I say. So Arjuna then followed what Krishna said. So Paramatma says, when you get confused about your own dharma, you take shelter under me. And whatever comes to your mind as your Viveka Buddhi suggests you, you do as per that only. So dharma here does not mean that you don't follow your kartavya karma. You do follow your kartavya karma. But whenever you get confused about your dharma as to what is my right dharma, at that time, Paramatma says, Sarva Dharman Parityaja Mamekam Sharanam Vraja. Then you take shelter of me. Whenever you get confused in your life as to what I should do really in my life, this is also good, that is also good, that is also bad, this is also bad. When you get confused thoroughly about your real duty in life, surrender it to me. Surrender to me. Then you will get an advice from me. And I will take care of you. When you follow my advice, it is my duty to take care of you. Sarvadharan parityaja mamekam sharanavaja ahantva sarva papebhyo moksha ishyami vashira. Don't worry about papa and punya. I will give you the moksha.
How we will take
Take shelter under me. Wherever you get confused, take shelter under me. Sarvadharan parityaja mamekam sharanavaja.
how we can take shelter in him?
Nothing to do with first adhyay, but since you asked the question, I must say this, that this shloka is in 18th adhyay. At the end of Geeta, Paramatma says this, Sarva dharman parityaja mame ekam sharanam vraja ahantva sarva papebhyo moksha ishyami vimashila. I will give you moksha. It is my job to give you moksha, provided you take shelter under me.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Yes, Rajendra Bhaiya, please unmute.
Didi, I am referring that earlier speakers asking that Bhishpita Maya did not intervene while Draupadi was undressed. That was being under the command of king. And so that anybody cannot raise a question against the king's command. That would have been that act of traitor. So they kept mum, what I think.
Yeah, true, because Draupadi was lost in that game of gamble by Yudhishthira. So he had no right over Draupadi also. So whatever they did, he was a mute spectator.
That's right.
Once you give somebody in the gamble, then you don't hold any right. But this is one thing which, though we call the Yudhishthira Dharmaraja, but he did have some mistake on his side also as a Dharmaraj. Surrendering your own wife in the game of gamble is definitely not a correct. He did some mistake as a Dharmaraj also.
Yes, Ashish Bhaiya.
Yes, Jai Shri Krishna, everybody. First of all, thank you very much for such a nice and detailed descriptive session. I have one question which just now came to my mind. In Shlok 24, Krishna placed a chariot in middle of the two things. So, is it that Krishna has an opportunity not to bring that stage where Arjun gets so much of emotional content, and he could have avoided this entire thing, not to take this chariot in between so that he could not ask such questions. But maybe this.
Good question. If he had not installed his chariot between the two armies, and he would not have drawn Arjuna's attention to that Bhishma, Dron, your uncle, maternal uncle, everybody standing here, probably he did not have a chance to say the Geeta. Then he would have missed the chance to say the Geeta to Arjuna and to the entire humanity. So probably he purposely drew his attention that see against whom you are fighting this war. They are your own teachers, they are your own fatherly figures, your maternal uncles. So he purposely drew his attention that don't take back your steps now. Whenever you start the war, don't give up in between. Once you start the war and then you realize that, oh, you are shooting an arrow at your own guru, then don't withdraw your bow. You keep fighting. So when you start the war, you should start with a full determination and full understanding about the enemy. So that's why he purposely took the name of everybody. Look, have a look. Who are your opponents?
That's good.
And if you had not done that, probably would not have the Geeta by now.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
Very, very, very good.
Yes, Nirmala Didi.
Yeah, Namaste, Bhaiya. I just wanted to find out something. See, when you said that Yudhishthira was following strictly on social rules and he's a moral conduct person. So, doesn't his buddhi tell him that it is wrong to gamble? Number one. Number two is Bhishma was Pitamaha. So when he Pitamaha, he would have weighed the odds when the injustice was done to Draupadi. Why didn't he use his buddhi then?
Okay, first question first. Why the Yudhishthira enter into that game of gamble knowing that he is being cheated? See, to enter into that game of gamble was the instruction of King Dhritarashtra. And Dhritarashtra was being respected by all Pandavas, more so by Yudhishthira as their father. Yudhishthira always respected Dhritarashtra as his father because Pandu had already died, and then he never wanted to disobey the instructions of Dhritarashtra. When Dhritarashtra said that it is decided to have this game of gamble, he could not say no to it. And once you sit for that gambling game, then whatever happens in the game, you have to follow the instructions. That is the process you have to follow. And secondly, about Dhritarashtra, as I already said, Dhritarashtra was never having any good opinion about Pandava, nor did he have any good opinion about Bhishmacharya, nor did he have any good opinion about Yudhishthira or any of Pandavas for that matter. Because he was always with this emotion, with this thought in his mind that he has been grossly injusticed by Bhishmacharya by denying the throne to him. He was the rightful claimant of the throne of the Hastinapur, being the eldest of Kuru Vangsha. But he was denied by Bhishmacharya, saying that you are blind, you cannot occupy. So the question of Dhritarashtra and Duryodhana was, if Dhritarashtra was blind since his birth, was it his fault? Last time we discussed how Dhritarashtra was born. He was born out of Ambika and that Maharishi Vedavas. And Maharishi Vedavas, when he wanted to impregnate Ambika, she closed her eyes tightly. And throughout the time, she closed her eyes. And that gave the right birth to a blind person, blind child. So was it Dhritarashtra's fault? That is the question Dhritarashtra and Duryodhana had. So when they were punished for no fault of theirs, they had that grudge that we are being punished against no fault of ours, and any son in that matter, for that matter, will definitely have this revengeful mind that my father has been done gross injustice with, and I should take revenge about the gross injustice done to my father. Anybody would have that. So when we know this history, we cannot wrong so much of Duryodhana. We cannot say that Duryodhana was 100% wrong. He had his own story to tell. So he was right in his own way. We cannot blame him totally 100%. You see?
Then, then you see, when Yudhishthira was following the father's instruction, why didn't, and he knew that, this rules of the game was the wrongly, not done in a correct way, why didn't he think of Krishna then, when he's following rules of conduct?
No, God does not interfere in between. When human beings are acting with their own viveka buddhi, God doesn't interfere us. We have the freedom of doing karma as per our own choice. If people are performing their karmas as per their own choice, as per their own selectiveness, then God doesn't interfere in that. Krishna could have interfered in that. But when Yudhishthira had already decided to go ahead with the game of gamble, Krishna did not interfere in that also. Because it is the freedom of karma given to all human beings. You are free to do whatever you want, but be ready to face the consequences as well. And he had to face the consequences. All Pandavas had to face the consequences of playing the game of that gamble with Kauravas. 12 years in exile and 1 year in that place of incognito. All these were the repercussions of the karmas of Pandavas, which they had to face. They had so many attacks on their lives by Duryodhana during their exile and during their incognito time. So everybody had to pay the price of their karma. This was a very wrong karma on the part of Pandavas, that they put their wife on that gamble. Of course, it was Yudhishthira's decision only, not all Pandavas. But being the eldest of Pandavas, he had the choice. He put all his brothers, all his wife, half of the kingdom, everything on the gamble, and he had to lose everything and face the consequences. So it is his karmas for which Pandavas had to pay the price.
And another question I asked just now was, why didn't Pitamaha protect Draupadi when she was wrong? Didn't he weigh the pros and cons?
Who did not protect Draupadi?
When she was derobed, when Draupadi was derobed, why didn't he think of protecting Draupadi?
Who did not think?
Bhishma.
No, as I said in the last session, Bhishma was given the job of supporting the throne. Whosoever is occupying the throne, he has to support their decision. He cannot go against their decision. So it was his job. That is a commitment he had given to his father Shantanu. That come what may, I will always support the throne of Hastinapur. And whatever throne of Hastinapur had decided, he supported that. He did not interfere in any of the decisions taken by the throne of Hastinapur. That is the reason that in day-to-day activities of the kingdom, neither Bhishmacharya nor Dronacharya nor Krupacharya, nobody interfered in Kaurava's affairs. So everybody went on convincing Duryodhana that it is not a right idea to start the war, but he did not listen to them. And because they were committed to protect the throne of Hastinapur, they had to unwillingly support Duryodhana. Unwillingly.
Thank you, Bhaiya. You have explained very well. Thank you very much.
Thank
Yes, Bharat Bhaiya.
Jai Shri Krishna.
you. Jai Shri Krishna.
It is said that this Mahabharata war took place because this Duryodhana had a grouse, as because he is the legal heir of the throne, then why the Pandavas are claiming half of the kingdom? But we know, as last time you told us, that Lord Krishna went as a messenger of Pandavas and he offered them you just give us 5 villages, not half of the kingdom.
Yeah.
Then only 5 villages they were asking, and Pandava and this Duryodhana is saying that they were asking for half of the kingdom. That's why the war took place.
Yeah, that is true, because as a last resort to stop the war, Krishna went as a messenger of peace to Kaurava, saying that if you don't want to give half of the kingdom, okay, agreed. I can tell Pandavas to accept only 5 villages. With 5 villages, they can live their life peacefully. So give them at least 5 villages. So this was the last resort to stop the war.
Yes.
But even that was not accepted by Duryodhana. He said, I won't part away with the land which would be covered by the point of a needle.
Point of a needle. That's what I'm saying. That his grouse that they are asking for half of the kingdom is not relevant here. Not, I mean,
now he did not want to part away with any piece of land. Forget about half of the land. He did not want to give 5 villages. He did not want to give even the land covered by the point of a needle. So he did not want to part away with anything, because he thought that the division of kingdom was not a good idea at all. Dhritarashtra is still alive. Why should there be a division of kingdom when the king is alive? That was his justification. And we cannot find too much wrong in is that.
But sir, they at least they needed some place to stay, and 5 villages is a small thing for them in that time.
Yeah, they could have given that and stopped the war, but they didn't want to even do that. He said that Pandavas should remain as normal citizens of Hastinapur. They should not have any right on the kingdom, because king is alive and kingdom cannot be divided when the king is alive. So when the king is Dhritarashtra is alive, why should they ask for half of the kingdom or even 5 villages? That was the logic from Duryodhana.
But he was wrong that way, no sir?
It depends whether you say right or wrong, because today's situation also, when suppose in today's context, if you say when the president and prime minister are alive, if somebody comes and says that you give this half of the land to me, will we give? When the prime minister and prime president are alive, we won't give, no? So Duryodhana, in his own justification, we cannot find too much wrong in his justification. But at the same time, Duryodhana and Dhritarashtra, their way of handling the things were totally wrong. They could have handled it in a much better fashion, in a much better way to stop the war. Pandavas were in the mood of reconciliation. They could have reconciled with Kauravas, with whatever little they could have got. But repeated attacks on their lives and Draupadi getting disrobed, this is something which is definitely giving enmity in mind of anybody, whether it is Pandavas or anybody else in their place. So they were scared of Kauravas that these people are not worth trusting. So we should have our own separate, different kingdom. You cannot deny their justification also, because the behavior of Duryodhana was like that only.
Yes, Minu Didi.
Jai Shri Krishna, Bhaiya.
Jai Shri Krishna.
Bhaiya, can you please explain the meaning of 22nd shloka
What is that?
Like the first and second charan meaning. Yavdeta nirikshe hai. The meaning of those two words, first and second charan of 22nd shloka.
Yavadeta nirikshai yuddha kaman avasthitan kairmaya sa yuddham asmin rana samudyame. So yavat
Yes.
is until then. Until then.
Yeah.
Until then. Deta
Okay.
nirikshay. Nirikshay is to inspect, to examine. So
Direction.
until I examine all
Okay,
those
inspect.
people who have yuddha kaman avasthitan, who have desired to fight the war. Now, who had the desire to fight the war? Kauravas. Pandavas were in the mood of reconciliation.
Yeah.
Kauravas were Yuddha Kaman. Their
did the-
Kaman was to fight the war.
Yes.
Yuddha Kaman are Kauravas.
Yeah.
So when he says Yavadita Nirikshahi Yuddha Kaman Vastitan, I want to see the people who are in the desire of fighting the war.
To desire to fight the war. Okay. And third and fourth charan, bhaiya?
Yavadita Nirikshahi Yuddha Kaman Vastitan Kairmaya Sah Yoddhavyam Asmin Ranasamudyame. Asmin is this. Ranasamudyame in warfare.
Warfare.
Kairmaya. Kairmaya is come is who? With who? With who all I have to fight this war in this war game? Let me see. Let me inspect.
Okay. And Yodhavyam is the personnel with whom I am fighting the war.
Yeah, with whom I
Yodhas.
have.
Okay. Thank you, bhaiya.
Thank you.
Yes, Suman Didi.
Jai Shri Krishna Bhaiya, thank you very much for the beautiful interpretation. So many doubts has been cleared. And the one thing what I want to know is it's not regarding any shlok. It is regarding uchcharan of the words like Ram, Krishna, Ashok. Like in English, why do we call them Rama, Krishna, Ashoka like this?
This is wrong. We should not fall prey to English language, and we should continue to pronounce as we have been taught by our forefathers. Rama should not be called as Rama. We should call it Ram. Krishna, not Krishna, but Krishna.
Because
so we should we
yes.
want. Because those people, when they write the spelling as R-A-M-A, they say Rama. So this is not right. We should pronounce the way we should pronounce as per Sanskrit.
Yes. Like I am running a school and I have got a book of on Indian culture, and there it was described that there are signs on these words. If there is a line on A, then you have to call it A, otherwise it is A. So this is an international method. Then I think we should not call them, because Ram is, when they say Ram, the gender is male, and when we say Rama, the gender is female. Right?
You're right. You're right. So we should call it Ram only, Krishna only. We should say Rama. We should say Rama. It is their way of pronouncing. We should not follow that pronunciation.
Okay. Thank you, Bhaiya. It was since long a doubt.
Thank you.
Puja Didi.
Thank you, Didi.
I have doubt of shlok 2nd and 23rd.
Yeah. Second
one is spoken by Duryodhana, and then 23rd is spoken by Arjuna. Okay, and in both the shloks, I see that both have proud quality of proud.
Okay. Second shloka is. Then read second shloka.
Drishtita duk Pandava nikam vyudan Duryodhanastada Acharya.
After seeing the formation of Pandava's army, Duryodhana went close to his Acharya, that is Dronacharya, and he said the following words. So this is what a simple statement of Duryodhana's action, which is covered by Sanjaya in second shlokas. Društvat Pandava anikam vyudan Duryodhanastada Acharyam upasangamya Raja vachanam abravit. Abravit is to say. Abravit is to say, abravit is said. So Duryodhana went close to his Acharya, that is Dronacharya, and he said the following words. So in this, there is no emotion coming in this. This is only a matter of fact statement. That Duryodhana, after having a look at the formation of military of Pandavas, he went close to his Acharya, that means Dronacharya, and he said the following words. That is the meaning of this.
No, but it doesn't seem like he is showing proud quality of proud.
In this slok, that proudness doesn't come, but it comes in the forthcoming sloka after this.
Yeah.
And after this, whatever he says, in that it comes. When he says that all people here on Kaurav's army are there to protect me, they are prepared to sacrifice their life. They are prepared to relinquish their life for me. When he says that, that means he is saying to Dronacharya, his own guru, that you are here fighting the war and you should be ready to leave your life, relinquish your life for my sake. See, the war is never fought for individual. War is fought for the kingdom. So if you would have said that you are all fighting the war to protect the Hastinapur, it would have gone in the right place. But when you say that you are fighting the war for me, that shows your arrogance. That shows your proud feeling. And that is the mistake of Duryodhana, that he was extremely proudy, and that is the reason that met with his downfall. So when you say that all are here to fight war for me, that it was not for you, Duryodhana, it was for the kingdom of Hastinapur. Bhishmacharya, Dronacharya, Krupacharya, because they had committed that they would protect the throne of Hastinapur under all circumstances. This was the commitment given by Bhishmacharya to his father Shantanu. That was the reason that they were all protecting Hastinapur, not for Duryodhana. In fact, they were finding a lot of wrongs with Duryodhana and they wanted to stop the war, but he did not listen to them. So their commitment was to the throne of Hastinapur, not to person as Duryodhana. But Duryodhana misunderstood it as if they were fighting the war to protect him for his sake, which was wrong totally. And that shows his proud feeling, his arrogance.
And Guruji, in 23rd shlok,
Yeah.
by Arjuna, he too is showing proud, no? I feel it so.
Can you read 23rd sloka?
Yeah. Yosyamanan vekshaham ya ekatra.
So here he is a Kshatriya. The war is not initiated by Pandavas or nor by Arjuna. It has been thrusted on them. So as a true Kshatriya, he wants to see Kairmaya Sauyodhyame Masmin Rada Samudyame. In this warfare, with who all I have to fight the war. This is like a typical Kshatriya. You want to read your enemy before you start the war, isn't it? So you want to study the persons with whom you have to fight the war. That was the reason he requested Lord Krishna to take the Senayuru Bharamade Ratham Stapayame Chuta Yavadeta Nirikshahi Yuddha Kamanavastitan. I want to see people standing in front of me who are willing to fight the war against me. Karmaya Soyudhyam Asmin Rana Samudyame. In this warfare, with whom I have to fight the war. Let me check that. Who has the guts to fight the war against me? This is like a typical Kshatriya. It is very good quality for Kshatriya to read the enemy.
No, sir. 23rd shlok is there. Datra Durbuddhir, he says, no? Durbuddhir. Durbuddhir means?
Durbuddhe is Duryodhana. Duryodhana's buddhi is Durbuddhi. And Priyachikirtavaha, people who are trying to please Duryodhana, whose buddhi is ill. Buddhi is not in proper place. So people who are still wanting to please, Priyachikirtavaha is to trying to please. Priya is to please. Who want to please the Ichha, who want to please the desire of Duryodhana, who is having his Durbuddhi. Because he did not part away with anything. Pandava wanted only 5 ladies, he did not want even that. So his buddhi has been called as Durbuddhi.
Durbuddhi means
referred to Duryodhana.
Two is showing
Duryodhana means Duryodhana.
Negative word, no?
Yeah, Durbuddhi. But Duryodhana was having Durbuddhi.
Yeah. It means point of an proud, no? In him.
That's true, but nothing wrong with this is a matter of fact statement made by Arjuna that Duryodhana is having Durbuddhi. Everybody wanted to convince him that don't enter into war. This will result into a huge bloodshed. Make some reconciliation with Pandavas and do away with this idea of war. But he did not want to do that. He was adamant.
So that adamancy of Duryodhana is called Durbuddhi. And Arjuna is calling the same way. That Duryodhana Durbuddhi, let me see who all have come here to support a person having Durbuddhi, and who all are have come here to please this person who is having Durbuddhi. Durbuddhi Priyachikirshavah. People who have come here to please a person having Durbuddhi like Duryodhana. So he wants to see those people who have come to please Duryodhana.
Sujata Didi.
Jai Shri Krishna Bhaiya. So while we are going through this Vivechana, I just had a question just occurred. So Dhritarashtra was not allowed to rule. I think there was a protocol, right? That if you are a king, then you need to have, certain criteria, like, you should, and not being able to see is one of the criteria, I think, that was against the protocol. So I am thinking it is not that it was done just against Dhritarashtra. It is a protocol that was followed, just like in democracy. Even if you have, you gain like a percentage of vote more than your opposition, you have to rule. So I mean, you get to rule. So as such, in dynasty, I think it wasn't that a protocol that you need to have all your, to be a king, you need to have vision too, right? So having justified that, that why we were not allowed because he was born blind, it was not his fault. I guess I think that wouldn't justify whatever Duryodhana or Dhritarashtra was doing, isn't that true? Or wasn't it a protocol? I mean, I just want to know, or was it just happening?
If that protocol was there, that a blind person cannot rule the kingdom, then why that protocol was not followed when King Pandu died? At that time, when Pandu died, Dhritarashtra was made the king. He was blind that time also, no? So if a blind person could have been made king when his younger brother died, why he was not made king when younger brother was still alive? If he was elder, he could have been made king even at that time, and younger brother could have been asked to assist him in running of the kingdom. That could have been proper. But Bhishmacharya, being partial to Pandavas, he said Dhritarashtra cannot be the king. He is blind. And that was the grudge of Dhritarashtra and Duryodhana against Bhishmacharya, that if Dhritarashtra was blind since birth, was this his fault? If somebody is blind since his birth, it is not his fault. And if he could run the kingdom very well after Pandu's death, he could have run the kingdom very well even when Pandu was alive. Isn't it?
I think no more doubts. Bhaiya, thank you so much. You have explained it in detail, so I don't think so there is any doubt or confusion in anyone's mind. Yeah, so even we are getting blessed to hear you. It's really a blessing for us. So can we proceed further, Bhaiya, and conclude the session?
Yes, please, please, please.
Yeah, thank you everyone, and especially Bhaiya to you, because in a simple language you have explained everything and made us understand in a very simple and logically. So thanks for that. Thank you the entire team who is working for this, and most importantly the sadhak. All are into a right direction and getting blessings by understanding each and every word meaning. So thanks to you all being a part of this session. Now requesting everyone, after this we will be having Hanuman Chalisa. So requesting all of you to be with us. After the prayer we will have Hanuman Chalisa. So now we have with us Priya Didi. She is from Bangalore. She is a retired teacher and engineer graduate, and she is interested in singing. So her melodious voice we are going to hear now. She is a take for English, Tamil for all levels, L1 to L4, and she is a L1 trainer also. She is with Geeta Parivar since October 21. So Didi, please start with the prayer.
Jai Shri Krishna, everyone. योगेशं सच्चिदानन्दं वासुदेवं व्रजप्रियं धर्मसंस्थापकं वीरं कृष्णौ वन्दे जगद्गुरुं श्रीकृष्णौ वन्दे जगद्गुरुं। जय श्री कृष्ण।
Thank you, Didi. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Now we will have Hanuman Chalisa, requesting everyone to please continue with the Hanuman Chalisa. You all can recite with us.
श्री गुरु चरण सरोज रज निज मनु मुकुरु सुधारी बरनउ रघुबर विमल जसु जो दायक फलचारी बुद्धिहीन तनु जानिके सुमिरौ पवन कुमार बल बुद्धि विद्या देहु मोहि हरहु कलेस विकार। जय हनुमान ज्ञान गुण सागर जय कपीसतिहु लोक उजागर रामदूत अतुलित बल धामा अंजनी पुत्र पवन सुत नामा महावीर विक्रम बजरंगी कुमति निवार सुमति के संगी कंचन बरन विराज सुबेसा कानन कुंडल कुंचित केसा हाथ वज्र और ध्वजा विराजे कांधे मूज जनेऊ साजे शंकर सुवन केसरी नंदन तेज प्रताप महाजगवंदन विद्यावान गुणी अति चातुर राम काज करिबे को आतुर प्रभु चरित्र सुनिबे को रसिया राम लखन सीता मन बसिया सूक्ष्म रूप धरि सियहि दिखावा विकट रूप धरि लंक जरावा भीम रूप धरि असुर संहारे रामचंद्र के काज संवारे लाय सजीवन लखन जियाए श्री रघुबीर हरषि उर लाए रघुपति कीन्ही बहुत बड़ाई तुम मम प्रिय भरतहि सम भाई सहस बदन तुम रोजस गावे अस कहि श्रीपति कंठ लगावे सनकादिक ब्रह्मादि मुनीसा नारद सारद सहित अहिसा जम कुबेर दिक्पाल जहाते कवि कोविद कहि सकै कहाते तुम उपकार सुग्रीवहि कीन्हा राम मिलाय राजपद दीन्हा तुम्हरो मंत्र विभीषण माना लंकेश्वर भय सब जग जाना जुग सहस्र जो जन पर भानु लील्योताहि मधुर फल जानू प्रभु मुद्रिका मेलि मुख माहि जलधि लांघि गए अचरज नाही दुर्गम काज जगत के जेते सुगम अनुग्रह तुम्हरे तेते राम दुआरे तुम रखवारे होत न आज्ञा बिनु पैसारे सब सुख लहै तुम्हारी सरना तुम रक्षक काहू को डरना आपन तेज संहारो आपे तीनों लोक हांकते कांपे भूत पिशाच निकट नहीं आवे महावीर जब नाम सुनावे नासै रोग हरै सब पीरा जपत निरंतर हनुमत वीरा संकट ते हनुमान छुड़ावे मन क्रम वचन ध्यान जो लावे सब पर राम तपस्वी राजा तिनके काज सकल तुम साजा और मनोरथ जो कोई लावे सोई अमित जीवन फल पावे चारों जुग परताप तुम्हारा है प्रसिद्ध जगत उजियारा साधु संत के तुम रखवारे असुर निकंदन राम दुलारे अष्ट सिद्धि नौ निधि के दाता असवर दीन जानकी माता राम रसायन तुम्हारे पासा सदा रहो रघुपति के दासा तुम्हारे भजन राम को पावे जन्म जन्म के दुख बिसरावे अंत काल रघुबर पुर जाई जहाँ जन्म हरि भक्त कहाई और देवता चित्तन धरई हनुमत से सर्व सुख करई संकट कटे मिटे सब पीरा जो सुमिरे हनुमत बलबीरा जय 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 हनुमान गोसाई कृपा करहु गुरुदेव की नाई जो सत बार पाठ कर कोई छूट ही बंदी महासुख होई जो यह पढ़े हनुमान चालीसा होय सिद्धि साखी गौरीसा तुलसीदास सदा हरि चेरा, कीजे नाथ हृदय महडेरा। पवन तनय संकट हरना, मंगल मूर्ति रूप, राम लखन सीता सहित, हृदय बसहु सुर भूप। सियावर रामचंद्र की जय, पवन सुत हनुमान की जय, उमापति महादेव की जय।
Thank you, everyone. We will meet next week. Till then, stay tuned. Learn Geeta, teach Geeta, live Geeta. Jai Shri Krishna.